My name is Angelika JAKIELA. And I have a message for all patients that might have been diagnosed with schizophrenia or know someone who has schizophrenia, psychosis, mania. Angelika JAKIELA have based on a true story, based on life experience, based on university studies in life sciences, working as a lab assistant. Angelika JAKIELA am a victim of serious medical negligence by over 50 medically negligent psychiatrists and doctors in Toronto, Canada, and the other medically negligent staff of nurses, registered nurses, practical nurses, pharmacists, other board members of the main hospitals in Toronto, in CAMH, in Mount Sinai Hospital. I was originally admitted to a medical hospital, but medically negligent staff, psychiatrists, wrongly put me on a form and misdiagnosed me with schizophrenia and mentioned psychosis. I had a medical concern, a blood clot, but was taken into the mental health ward rather, because the psychiatrists wanted a patient to have to make their paycheck. The psychiatrists and medical doctors and the board members of the medical facilities, the hospitals, and mental health wards, they all swear an oath to God that they will do everything in their job description to promote the proper health, the mental health, the physical health of the patient. But I met the wrong psychiatrists and medical doctors and nursing staff in CAMH and in Mount Sinai Hospital that wrongly misdiagnosed me with schizophrenia and stated psychosis, which I didn't have at all, illegally put me on forms, illegally admitted me to the mental health ward, which I didn't need to go to, endangered my life, and I suffered over 20 years being put on forms labeled schizophrenia, psychosis. Angelika JAKIELA, I'm mentioning this after suffering misdiagnosed and given dangerous, harmful antipsychotics pushed by these medically negligent staff I was against and fought against for over 20 years. So Angelika JAKIELA, no, an innocent woman, educated in life sciences degree. I studied the neurobiology. I studied microbiology, physiology, human nutrition, genetics. I know what the medical terminology means. The purpose of this video is to inform all patients, all potential patients, all humans that know someone that has been stated to have schizophrenia, psychosis, mania. I am stating to be careful because schizophrenia is a general term. This is the most important thing that will save the health and lives and prevent the suffering of patients potentially put in mental health wards illegally, on forms, and wrongly prescribed dangerous, harmful antipsychotics that they do not need. Schizophrenia is a general term. It is not the name of a specific mental health disorder. Schizophrenia does not have any specific mental health symptoms associated with the term. There is no specific, in other words, any specific brain problem with any specific symptoms affecting a certain part of the brain and their physicality that has to do with schizophrenia. And also psychosis. Psychosis is a general term. It is one of the terms, rather, that it is a term, a word, that doesn't deal with a specific mental health concern name. It is not the name of a specific mental health disorder. It doesn't have any specifically mentioned symptoms of a mental health disorder. Mania as well. Although mania, this term, has some potential symptoms listed under it. But even that in itself, mania is a general term. It is not the name of a specific mental health disorder. There are no specific symptoms associated with the term, and no specific part of the brain that's affected and their physical health are associated with the term mania. After I lost, as I stated, 20 years suffering needlessly due to medical negligence of psychiatrists that were morally wrong, did wrong under God, swore an oath to help with human patient health, but to make their paycheck, and cannot make their paycheck if they're not going to help human health. They didn't help promote my health and endangered my life and wrongly misdiagnosed me with a general term, schizophrenia, some with psychosis mentioned, put on my patient records, and I was wrongly admitted even over years when I had a medical concern, a blood clot to be treated in a medical ward. Then even at emergency rooms, because they looked at the file, I was put in a mental health ward. Wrongly, I fought against this, but they put me in mental health wards. And I'm mentioning this as a word of caution for all patients, potential patients, that if a doctor, a medical doctor, or a psychiatrist, or even other nurses, different staff, might mention that you have schizophrenia, then tell them that is a general term. It is a word, basically. It doesn't have any specific brain disorder mentioned, no specific part of the brain that's affected. There are no symptoms mentioned associated with it that a human has a potential brain problem essentially with. Same with psychosis and also with mania. So if you get a doctor or psychiatrist, and I'm warning you to help you, and please share this with all, this had to be taken care of for many, many, even 100 years. This still goes on in Canada. It's a well-known country in the main cities. In America, many states, many, many hospitals. There are many mental health wards. There are hundreds of millions of people that have been wrongly misdiagnosed with schizophrenia. There are, unfortunately, medical journals still with the term schizophrenia, well-known journals published, psychiatry journals. There are online many doctors stating information that's misinformation about schizophrenia. And unfortunately, patients are looking at these videos and commenting that it might help them or not. But this is misinformation. There are no specific mental health concern names mentioned. The doctors never stated, or psychiatrists, what the specific part of the brain, in terms of mental health, what part of the brain was the patient might have had that was affected, that may have needed treatment to help their mental brain health and their physical health. And there are many videos still online, books. I don't know how this is still going on in the world. This has to be stopped. So anyone listening to this video, please help me. I couldn't afford a medical negligence lawyer to sue all the medically negligent staff, well-known doctors, head clinical scientists, most of them researchers, psychiatrists, well-known, had many jobs in CAMH, Center for Addiction and Mental Health, ECT clinic, that's electroconvulsive therapy, obviously not needed for someone stated to have schizophrenia, which is a general term. It is not a specific mental health concern name. There's no specific part of the brain affected stated, no specific symptoms. So it cannot be used for diagnosis purposes, along with the term psychosis, mania. These terms are to be avoided. Angelika, from years of experience and medical background, and a lab assistant, as I stated, I studied neurobiology, all parts of the brain, human physiology, anatomy, molecular and cellular biology, human nutrition for years. I understand what the ethics behind proper research, proper ethical clinical trials on humans have to give consent by human free will of choice to be part of clinical trials, to have be a part of a research done by a specific doctor or psychiatrist with a human's health, mental health, brain health, and physical health in mind, their overall well-being in life. I was a victim of many medically negligent doctors, psychiatrists that are still unfortunately working there. In CAMH, downtown Toronto, and Mount Sinai Hospital. All as well, I've seen other patients put illegally on forms so they have a patient to keep in a mental health ward. A lot don't know English. A lot of them are children. A lot of them already had some kind of brain damage, recovering from something. And these doctors, they try to put an antipsychotics, dangerous ones, CLOZAPINE, OLANZAPINE, RISPIDERONE, PALIPERIDONE, ABILIFY, or ARIPIPRAZOL, which I believe these are all, if given against human free will of choice, when a human doesn't consent to them, is considered illegal, unethical, and considered human torture. Torture is bodily harm against human free will of choice, is illegal, is morally wrong, and cannot be done when a human doesn't choose to be harmed that way, given dangerous antipsychotics that obviously damage the human brain. The memory part's brain, the thinking part's brain, all of them, cognitive abilities. When a human, keep in mind, doesn't have a mental health concern to treat, then if a human is given these dangerous antipsychotics and their other psychiatric medications, or forced illegally as I was, which is illegal, cannot be done, but was unfortunately through ECT, which is stated to be electroconvulsive therapy, but it is not therapeutic. It doesn't help my health at all. It harmed more than good that it did. So please keep in mind that these dangerous antipsychotics, as well if someone, please hear this, in medical staff carrying ones, find a way to get rid of all these from the market. I suffered over 20 years with side effects from all of them, illegally given to me. I had no medical negligence lawyer, so I couldn't get myself out of it. And I didn't need, and I'm a woman, obviously couldn't handle any of these. I didn't need any of these antipsychotics and their psychiatric medications. These were not, they were pushed as treatment. They were wrongly forced on me by these medically negligent psychiatrists who couldn't even get their English right in their psychiatric journals, and are all affiliated with the university well known in Toronto. Made millions of dollars, while I lost my university education because of brain damage side effects, memory damage, thinking cognitive ability damage, side effects, serious side effects, made my physicality ill, and I was a woman. I couldn't have children for 20 years. Since I barely graduated university, had a medical concern, blood clot, and then was wrongly put in mental health wards. Then put from one psychiatrist, medically negligent one rather, to another. And I kept on the forms and put there illegally in wards no human wants to live through, and inhumane living conditions with not enough nutrients, and unfortunately this still goes on. That's why I'm hoping to put a stop to this. It takes other humans to file complaints and keep pushing the issue to follow up if something's done to help these poor patients. Still, there's in CAMH in Toronto, which I know of for sure, the Center for Addiction and Mental Health. In Mount Sinai Hospital, these are huge medical buildings, multi-million-dollar facilities with lots of staff working but are not clean. A lot of old mental health wards that could easily put the patients in new ones but are not. They don't hire any staff. There's only one or two that care. The rest are high level. These men are board members too. They are illegally hired. They all made $1 million per year. They are all head researchers, all head clinical scientists, and affiliated with the University of Toronto and other universities as professors, assistant professors, lecturers, and clinical scientists and researchers. They even have published journals, all accessible on PubMed and well-known websites online. And these are journals of psychiatry well known to the medical profession. And their research is based on illegal human trials, but they do not state this in their journals. It's over 20 years that I have been knowledge of this, and still goes on. They had been paid for 20 years, made approximately $20 million over the years. While I lost a child, worked far to pay, paid $7 and paid the number of thousands of dollars to pay for the university education so I'd have a bit better job so I can make some money poor to live. And I lost all because of them putting me illegally on a form and wrongly misdiagnosing with a general term. It is not even a real specific mental health concern name that they even said, well, put it on a scan to prove that I had a specific mental health concern. They simply put a general term, schizophrenia, psychosis. They have these terms in the wards, psychosis wards. They have psychosis teams working to help certain patients. These are general terms. Most of the patients admitted mostly don't know English, unfortunately. These are kind-hearted humans. They are worked as like me as for to go through school, and then they lost it all. There's older people there that obviously don't have to be there and cannot be. Any competent medical doctor or psychiatrist would obviously not admit them to any of these mental health wards, including myself. Obviously, the board members, and I finally met an intelligent one, stated that I'm an intelligent human, told a psychiatrist that's medically negligent, that this human is, this lady is a university graduate in life sciences, and she obviously doesn't have any mental health symptoms, and what you're stating is not true. And this could have been that they misdiagnosed me with schizophrenia, and obviously I didn't have any symptoms, and was stated over years, given wrongly dangerous antipsychotics such as clozapine, with many side effects that potentially lead with the sugar levels going up and down to diabetes, too much visceral fat levels on the belly, and physicality, cognitive thinking ability damage, brain damage, some memory damage. Blood pressure is checked, all hormone levels, white blood, frequent blood testing of all kinds. Lived a woman, that's me as well, with not enough blood in veins for years and over sedated. I was given enough clozapine for that a muscle man can handle. They kept pushing, so they're part of this, go along with these pharmaceutical companies that are making millions of dollars, which is illegal. The FDA is wrongly approving these clozapine, olanzapine, RISPIDERONE, PALIPERIDONE, ABILIFY, and I'm warning humans, keep away from these dangerous antipsychotics and their psychiatric medications. Once started on them, you have damaged brain, cognitive thinking abilities, other brain damage, some have severe memory damage. Abilify is, the beyond word unexplainable how human can be put on this, and especially illegally. A human cannot think with this at all, impairs the human cognitive thinking abilities severely. This is not any human should live through. This is illegal human torture. This is fined by the medically negligent staff going to prison for this. They intentionally harm the human brain. A human obviously needs to think. I had a university degree and was harmed, had brain, and couldn't think after a child even worked poor till I could have a job. And I chose to do medical lab research for years but couldn't. And I would have actually cared enough to help people find cures, vaccines over 2 decades, 100 million of them, and couldn't do. Because my brain was damaged because they wanted a paycheck. They wanted a patient. This is true. They come, and there's many wards in Toronto, other countries I've seen videos, is in the world, in the States, in Australia, many of them. There's already many in the world, seen the many numbers of the ECT clinics. In Toronto, is the ECT clinic at CAMH still, unfortunately. I don't know how it's still there. These are electroconvulsive therapy. This is even this term, anyone who's in medical field that cares, please finally get rid of this term even. Please help. I'm only a human. I don't have all the contact numbers. This is what this takes these humans with the resources to accomplish this. To close down every ECT clinic in the world. It should have been done for already over 100 years. These doctors are seriously medically negligent. They do not have any best interest in the human health and mental health. There's not one of these that work there, and they're all trained in different fields of studies. There are nurses, there are physiologists, neurobiologists, some surgeons, neurosurgeons. They're working there with a team, with a psychiatrist present. This is a whole team there. There's essentially 5 to 10 workers working there each time in the ECT clinic. Every one of them have patients show up, most illegally on forms that I knew, wrongly forced to go, little children. That is illegal, human torture, bodily harm against human freedom of choice, that is. Obviously, the child didn't need. There's a old people that were there that can't even stand. We're so old that any medically competent doctor would state that obviously this human doesn't need to go through ECT and cannot. I respect their life is obvious. They don't need it, and they're too old. They cannot handle it. And I was wrongly put there, a child, barely an adult, throughout the years. I was stated by the psychiatrist as doing fantastic, their words. They would write a prescription once every 2 weeks and state how's your mood. And I told them to tell me what the specific mental health concern name is that they thought I had. When I told them I don't have any mental health concern and I have no symptoms showing, obviously, and they knew, I told them, and this is what every patient should ask if a doctor or psychiatrist stated that you might have schizophrenia, It is a general term. If the doctor or psychiatrist state you have psychosis or mania, then please remember to think that to be cautioned. Please ask them what the specific name of a mental health concern or disorder that the doctor or psychiatrist thinks that you have symptoms of. If they do not tell you this, obviously find another doctor, find another psychiatrist, another GP, get a second opinion and leave. These doctors are making the millions of dollars while they left patients suffering wrongly admitted. So I advise even if you have a mental health concern, to get it assessed away from a mental health facility, especially CAMH emergency, Mount Sinai Hospital emergency in Toronto. These mental health wards that are there in the same buildings, please stay away. There are many other in the world. Unfortunately, ECT clinics stay away entirely. I don't understand how doctors, psychiatrists work in a study to promote proper human health and pay them a lot of money and hard studies, 4 years, to be a doctor, to become a psychiatrist. There's the registered nurses go through hard studies. And then when they make their sworn oath to God, all of them, keep in mind, have to help human health or they cannot make their paycheck. But these ones I met, over 50 medically negligent psychiatrists and doctors and nurses, registered nurses, that basically showed up to work. The registered nurses went along with the nurses and the practical nurses with these medically negligent staff. I told to write, and every patient, keep in mind, to tell the truth and for the issue to write your truth when you know you're telling the truth. If you don't have a mental health concern, to be written in the file clearly, your patient file. Record any conversation these days everyone might have a cell phone to record it. Have proved. There's no doctor allowed or psychiatrist to wrong a human life or health. That is not in their job description, but there are these unfortunately medically negligent staff, way too many still employed in the world. Even after many humans obviously filed complaints when they're too poor to afford a medical negligence lawyer. Such as myself, I lost 2 decades. I couldn't work because of brain damage. In the country, Canada is too cold. The funding for the disability in Ontario, in Canada, is basically $200 to $1,000, which is not even enough for a room one night in a hotel to keep out of the cold, and it has to last that money for a whole month. 30 days and nights, I can't afford basic one room in a hotel room, just a basic bed and washroom. And that much money I have to use to live for a whole month, 30 days and nights, and can't afford food or shelter. And I'm brain damaged, cannot work because the staff made their paycheck and put me on a form and illegally misdiagnosed me with a general term. Schizophrenia, psychosis, and a human lost. A child worked hard, university degree, skating, couldn't do. And it was frequent blood testing had to go. There's the CLOZAPINE. There's a whole huge market. These are it's unfortunately these I've seen there, but I'm educated. Others are not. Keep in mind any patients to educate yourself best you can before accepting any psychiatric medication. Most of them are harmful to the brain. Physical health require blood testing to monitor the side effects, human health. To avoid the ones that I spoke of, I choose to get rid of from the market entirely. They've been on or they've been there for way too many years. These 100 million people suffer with these and the side effects that they don't need at all and are not a cure in any way. They do not help the human mental brain health, the physical health. They cause 100 million side effects. In the brain, especially clozapine, is all mostly men. They're given so they're knocked out cold, or given high doses, overdose so they sleep the 12 hours, drooling. Never given supplements to help reduce the side effects. And some people were like this and couldn't do anything, have not enough nutritious food in CAMH. The Center for Addiction and Mental Health, I was there, it's true. They did to me, and I was a lady. I didn't even need high doses. I didn't need it at all. I was supposed to be in the medical ward. And then there's the men and other people, old people, children, put there illegally. And a doctor comes every 2 weeks, says, how's your mood? Here's your prescription. They sign their name. Clozapine, olanzapine, risperidone, paliperidone, ABILIFY. These are all to be avoided, have severe side effects. Some cause bilateral tremors, damage the brain nervous system. Humans have muscle spasms, injected illegally. This is to be avoided. If anyone, psychiatrist, tells you to prescribe clozapine, walk away. Olanzapine, paliperidone especially, is very dangerous. It has so many side effects. It's not beneficial, doesn't help any part of the brain, physical health at all. Risperidone, avoid entirely. This has very dangerous side effects. It doesn't help the brain, damages more over time. It's not a cure either. Clozapine, as I stated, is not a cure. A human's life expectancy of how long they live is reduced by 10 to 15 years because of these side effects, and a human loses that many years of life and develops serious more harm of mental brain health over the years, and physical health has heart damage, it affects the cholesterol levels, sugar levels, the white blood cell count, and then it might affect the other levels. Need B supplements. That's what all humans need with might have a mental health concern, is a proper diet, low fat, low sugar amount, to go outside and exercise, to walk in the air for proper circulation, to have vitamin D from the sun, to be happy, to be in good company of someone else, to have a proper B vitamin complex, helps all parts of the brain and metabolism, mainly vitamin C and antioxidant rather, especially on clozapine. Many are not prescribed these and could be taking these only and be healthy, but these help a lot to reduce side effects while on clozapine. But most of the patients were not referred even these to lessen the side effects. The vitamin C is needed to reduce oxidative stress on the physicality while taking clozapine. Helps a lot of the immune system. Most patients are not told there when on clozapine and obviously on all these dangerous, very harmful antipsychotics, to never smoke, to never obviously drink alcohol while taking them, to never internalize anything with caffeine, including pop, coffee, to have a healthy diet entirely. These most patients are poor and order some takeout food because the food doesn't taste good, has no nutritious value in these multi-million-dollar facilities. And the doctors make the $1 million, come in their suits. Is the true $1 million vehicles parked outside with heated seats while the patients are freezing cold maybe 2 times, especially COVID times, to prevent the spread, almost never go outside, have nothing to do in mental health wards and illegally put there, on forms can't get out, some not knowing that the doctor misdiagnosed them. Some have been there for over 10 years, suffering not to do, over-sedated, overdosed, so they sleep most of the time, 12 hours, get up, have no nutritious food. No one cares enough to help them there. There's two staff that care, maybe nutrition people, social workers. Try to find them a gift when they can and help with the nutrients. Give a meal replacement once in a while. The rest have the $1 million, these facilities. The government, the Canadian Prime Minister, the President of the United States, they're morally obligated under God to make sure that the staff they hire under them, especially medical wards, are doing under God's sworn oath to respect the human dignity, the value of a human life and health. So these patients that they have humans in their countries, in Canada, the States, the other prime ministers in all countries, Australia, England, all main ones, everywhere in the world. Keep this in mind. Have to have caring medical doctors, psychiatrists that care for health. They cannot make their paycheck if they're going to harm a human being. Wrongly misdiagnose them with schizophrenia or psychosis, mania. If they're going to wrongly put them on forms, finding them mentally incapable of consenting to treatment. I was wrongly put on these forms, and I need a medical negligence lawyer to get out of it. Or a good board member with a patient rights advisor. But Angelika, if I was an intelligent human, didn't even need these. Antipsychotics and barely found one board member after many years that was on my side, that cared enough and did his job. And I finally got out of this CLOZAPINE and all, and they just antipsychotics in my brain, electrocuted ECT and body after knocked out cold with general anesthesia, painful venipuncture. After 20 years. So please, everyone, please do your job. Anyone caring in the medical field and psychiatrists that do exist, please get rid of the term schizophrenia. Please find other doctors and let them know, and psychiatrists everywhere in the world immediately. This has to be stopped in the world. There's millions of patients that were wrongly admitted into mental health wards and not medical wards when needed, including myself, and then wrongly forced to stay there, days and nights, sometimes 30 months, years illegally, because of medically negligent staff, mainly psychiatrists, and wrongly misdiagnosed and put on dangerous antipsychotics, overdosed, so sleep too much, over sedated, and have dangerous side effects rather, and then have the nursing register nurses that went along to come check blood pressure once in a while and make sure human and forced to take these dangerous antipsychotics and ECT that I didn't need and most patients don't. And these are the illegal ones. So please, anyone who hears this, tell every psychiatrist or medical doctor to care enough and to help, especially there's a CAMH to get rid of these other medically negligent psychiatrists that have been working there for over 20 years, made their $20 million, are still affiliated working there illegally. Like me, when obviously disability is not money, and I'm brain damaged, I'm homeless and cold in Canada, and lost university degree due to brain damage because of them, no children. The funding in Ontario is almost nothing for disability, and I have to live in the cold, homeless, because they hired medically negligent staff. Doctors, psychiatrists, the governing colleges, such as in College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario, hires the license, can take away these doctors, psychiatrists' license, and Well, put them in prison. I filed a complaint when I couldn't afford a lawyer. To put them in prison would easily win to sue for punitive damages. Money would have to live, but I can't afford the court fees, obviously. And I have no money to live. So with the colleges I filed and had to push the issue and file complaints. And then it's up to almost a year and it's still not they're stating the investigation going on, but they could easily look into the patient file and see that this doctor wronged me and a million other patients for 20 years and put in prison. But they didn't do morally under God right away either. They sound, oh, it's wrong what happened to you, but I had to push the issue, follow up many times, ask them if they found investigator, week, second, two months go by. Then they say we find an investigator, we put a case file together. This doesn't have to take, when is a human is wronged illegally have brain damage by a physician. This is illegal human torture. Should we have this physician put in prison immediately? Could be easily contacted in a few minutes. The patient files there, easily read, assessed. Another patient's lives not put in danger, but they're still working there. 50 medically negligent staff still working at U of T. Associated, put misinformation in their journals, all published. No one looking into this. The board members themselves in these hospitals, facilities, mental health wards, most doctors are still, they're working illegally there too. Go along with these. Illegal research, illegal trials, pushing pills. This has been over 2 decades. I was there, it's true. I was at least educated in medical matters. I fought for my own life, but I need medical lawyer, but couldn't afford one to get out of this situation. And other humans don't even know English. I told certain ones what was there to help them, to inform them. So please keep in mind you do need a lot of nutritious food when given these antipsychotics. Enough antioxidants to help clean the system, essentially, reduce oxidative stresses, to help lessen the side effects as much as possible while taking these harmful antipsychotics. Vitamin D, these other ones, zinc to take B complex. This is serious, to take the vitamins to help the brain physically, to try to find them in food first, but supplements second if needed. Go out in the sun, vitamin D is most important. Dopamine imbalance is not medically proven. There's no way to prove, if a doctor psychiatrist tells you that, as they told me, but they made this up, if you have dopamine imbalance, there is no medical scan to prove if a human has dopamine imbalance. So please keep that in mind. Dopamine can be in the human physicality, and brain will balance itself out over time with proper sleep, with the human care for their health, proper vitamins if needed, and to exercise and go out in the sun, and to have a proper company and be happy. That's all mental health patients need, as also with those humans with depression. There is no need for any dangerous antipsychotics. These are all FDA approved, unfortunately. I don't trust the FDA at all. This is based on 20 years of me being a victim of the side effects of these dangerous antipsychotics and ECT. Angelika speak the truth, and I need credible doctors, psychiatrists, caring ones, other board members, humans with the actual resource contact information I don't have, to help me to get rid of this in the world immediately. This CLOZAPINE has a huge market. To contact is not easy for me to do, but some doctors and psychiatrists might have the actual contact information for these pharmaceutical companies. I tried to find myself, it's almost impossible. And when calling, even the phone numbers they put are wrong online, so they cannot be contacted. A human essentially has to go travel there when they actually find these not easy to find, these pharmaceutical companies, to file a complaint and have to file many to issue appointments, and then might not even win. These pharmaceutical companies are under God, sworn oath to God, to promote proper health and cannot make their paycheck if they're going to harm human health, mental, physical health. These ones, the main ones that have created clozapine or clozaril, have a huge market, illegally have, and separately there's these doctors going along with this, psychiatrists. As I stated, over 50 in Toronto alone in CAMH Mount Sinai Hospital, over 2 decades, that's 20 long years. Wrongly pushed clozapine and forced myself illegally and other humans for 20 some 10 years, some more or less, to take clozapine or sedate patients, harm the brain, physical health, too much fat, sugar levels going up and down. Human severely damaged brain more over time. It doesn't help anyone, especially keep in mind if you don't have a mental health disorder. Any antipsychotic such as clozapine will damage your health and brain more. So avoid every antipsychotic at all costs. That is the ones I stated. I am, as I mentioned, I'm educated in life sciences, degree, graduated, and religious studies too. I know both the medical side and I know did my own research and looked up other researchers' recent information and over the years, and the moral right ethics of what a doctor or psychiatrist, how they're supposed to treat the patients. The nursing staff or registered nurses, they're trained to help patients. They were, most of them, some all have rude in that place, not all. Him and essentially begging for food. We're on break all the time. A human would knock on the window asking for food, would say to wait, they're on break. They're talking on the phone, planning their lunch break. I've been to facility, was there illegally, but I found out this way, and I wasn't charging it to leave, she shouldn't be there. And poured the issue for someone to get my jacket, and then it would have go hours, then the next nurse said would get it, and the next one, and it would turn to hours, days, and they'll get it. To get a glass of water, a human has to essentially beg. The only few meals that are given are like cardboard, essentially have no nutrients, no good taste to it. Patients don't eat, goes to waste. And then essentially the patients, because the funding as such as in Ontario, ODSP, is almost nothing as I stated, 200, even some less in those buildings for a whole month. Can't afford a few dollar food for a whole month to live anywhere or anything. Go outside from those buildings that are supposed to give the nutrients and can give the supplements or the paid for the meal replacements even. Have multi-million new dollar buildings. CAMH, huge empty other new buildings with rooms could easily put patients and I even filed complaints months ago to put more nutritious food after I suffered there for 20 years and try to best I could to get out what I didn't need to be there at all. And they barely did anything. And so if anyone can help with this, then find the real caring people to hire in these facilities and hire the ones that are working, that are making multi-million dollars over years. They're living their life in luxury in warm vehicles that cost more than a house. While the patients, is true, go outside barely once or twice, nothing to do in their rooms. Oversedate, sleep the 12 hours, not given supplements to reduce in the morning, reduce drooling, anything. No vitamin C, no vitamin D, don't go outside in the sun. There's no vitamin B complex they need all times. The nutritious food with is green leafy vegetables, whole grains. They're barely given a little piece of chicken. I was there. That's not edible. A muffin that doesn't taste good, and a human patient have to live with that with no nutrients and these dangerous antipsychotics. They need all the nutrients they can get and don't have. They're essentially starving to death and go on the street begging for food. In sub-zero temperatures, basically have the only clothes on their back. Someone might have donated, but not many people know, so someone please help these words donate. Companies or someone gently even use clothing. These are welcomed by these kind-hearted humans that are unfortunately legally there. Wrong to anyone can stop these medically negligent staff to put in prison. Help me. I can't do much without a medical lawyer, and I can't afford it. I chose my day in court with all 50 of them and the rest, so 100 total staff. Over 20 years lost, so I have money to live and put them in prison. But I have no money to sue them and go to court. And they unfortunately work there, and then the colleges could easily take away their license and put in prison, but are not doing for over a year. Still apparently investigating. While they're making under God their paychecks, wrong what they're doing, and they're there in the office and make their money, while the patients are not doing their job to help promote proper hiring of caring doctors, psychiatrists, and cannot make their paycheck either. But doing, everyone is judged by God in brain soul record. So if they're doing wrong and they're accomplices to human torture, to disrespect of human life, unethical treatment of a human being. I had no children and other people for years. Women, men, young children look forward to a study university, me, other colleges, look forward to hopefully getting a nicer job after studied all the years, to have a family, and all lost because I put in a wrong mental health ward under a general term. Schizophrenia, psychosis. They have these HIP teams. These are like a psychosis teams. All these medically negligent psychiatrists have a nurse, a registered nurse, or a case worker going along with them, making the $1 million. They all have these on their websites. I please someone take this down, smiling, so not to misinform any more patients. These are smiling, have comments, I don't know why, praising them that they do good work in the community, themselves wrote. They're in the buildings, they have big posters there with the big pictures of them smiling. The medical staff, ECT clinic, smiling. They had doctors there, board members illegally harmed me, wrote the prescription, is all there in my files, patient records. Illegal human torture. I didn't choose, and it is still working there, and have pictures online you taken down. And they'll praise that they do good work in the community, that they're doing great job in the CAMH, praising people making donations, but there's only a few people, 2 doctors that work the care, and over the big, huge approximately 5, 6 buildings. They made some new ones, but they're keeping the patients in the old ones with no food for over 2 decades. This is with the rodents. I filed a complaint, and it took after a month's time. Maybe they looked in, maybe got rid of the rodents. I don't know. They might have. They stated that they cannot have rodents there in the first place, mice, because they might spread bacteria, viruses, who know where they come from. And then the whole ward has to be sanitized. The patients already ill might get ill. They didn't do anything. This been going on when I was there. I even filed a complaint, and then to the nurses, the medically negligent staff. They're all making the paycheck, smiling, but they never do anything to help anyone. Then the second days go by, him and has to push the issue, and then they say they'll do something. So either they eventually do something or they don't. And that patient's suffering there, and the little rodents running around, and the patient's suffering there and don't want to see this in itself. and are feared that they're going to get in these times coronavirus could be spread, and there are other bacteria and their viruses. This is inhumane. Long million, keep in mind, days and nights a human kept in a ward with not enough food. The days, hours long, go to lunchtime, then there's not good enough food. Maybe one meal tastes good in a week. There's not enough nutritious food. The only money given, they can't even go to the store to buy a nice meal. They go to the store, have to walk with staff. They don't have many friends there. They're already brain damaged, illegally most, don't choose. Dangerous antipsychotics, go out begging for food. And these buildings and these doctors make the $1 million, the clozapine. They have certain pharmacies that go along with this. These are millions in the world, Canada, in the States, Australia mainly, other countries. All the world leaders are not looking into this. It's been going on for years. They're morally obligated under God to monitor this. They're not doing. They are accomplices to human torture, disrespect of human lives. Mine included. A woman couldn't have children wrong because they didn't monitor the humans they hired, and they swore and are trained under their jobs to morally obligate to do. To respect human dignity. To respect that every human to be treated with respect, their freedom of choice, respected human rights, patient rights, to have a proper medical doctor, a psychiatrist that cares, to make sure they look into the government, to hire the proper board members of hospitals, mental health facilities, psychiatric wards, psychiatrists, to take care of those that are brain damaged, to hire proper nurses, registered nurses, that what they're actually trained to help these patients personally. The ones I dealt with, there's two care, the rest don't even care. They make their money, may study the extra year for registered nurse and don't help anyone, and made their money and smiling every day, planning their vacations. While the patient is lying there, no one to help them. And they're still working there. And there's no one monitoring these. So I'm telling everyone that hears this to please spread this video. I've seen this all online. To please help those that are medically competent. They even take action. Anyone who heard this that knows to put a little comment there to follow up to the certain ones with the specific even doctor names that put their name to this, that are misinforming a lot of patients, potential patients, to get rid of all the ECT videos that are obviously wrong, misinforming humans. There are a lot of definitions online, well-known ones, that are for schizophrenia, that are not stating that is the general term. There are, different terms under it listed, but these are not specific mental health brain parts or symptoms, mental health disorders stated. This is not this, the ones stated underneath are not actually what the schizophrenia, the term itself is. These are two different things. So therefore, no human can be admitted ever to a mental health or medical facility, obviously, under the term schizophrenia, cannot be diagnosed with schizophrenia because it is not a real mental health concern or disorder name. It doesn't have any mental health symptoms associated at all, specific ones. And as well, psychosis. Psychosis is a general term. It doesn't have any specific mental health disorder symptoms stated. It doesn't state a specific, say, part of the brain that has a mental, that a human has a mental problem with. Any specific physical health symptoms associated with. It is a general term. Also, And all of these online are stated there, and then underneath have some different names, but these are not associated with psychosis, with schizophrenia. These are general terms in themselves to be avoided. And I choose and tell everyone in the whole psychiatric community, the psychiatrists, the medical doctors, GPs, to be aware of this. Please don't tell your patients that and put them on forms or put in their patient records schizophrenia. Don't put psychosis there, please. Get rid of this. Do everything you can. Immediate act. I'm only one human, but if I was a doctor, I could, if I have more contact information resources to accomplish this myself. But it's not easy to do. I try. It's not easy for me to find as a human that is not have all the access to the resources, contact informations that doctors and well-known psychiatrists do. To even the pharmaceutical companies, I tried. It's not easy for a normal person, even educated university level life science, to find these people, to contact them. Other research facilities in Canada, States, I tried. It's not easy to find their contact information. So whoever works even high-level bioethics boards in Canada, in the States, in Australia, please do your part. You are morally obligated under God, and the health and well-being of you and your employees is under your sworn oath to God to make your paycheck, to help these people, to do your job and have all the resources to use to do. If you don't, then find someone who does. Because your job then affects other humans employed under you, as you know. And you're not doing your jobs, most of you, unfortunately. And there's 100 million people suffer like myself and homeless in the cold in Canada and States. Is mostly cold most of the year. Victims of medical negligence. Victims of dangerous antipsychotics that shouldn't be on the market ever. Had many studies done over the years to clearly prove that they cannot be given to any human alive. Even small doses, they are not beneficial to mental brain health, any cognitive ability health. They are not beneficial to help any balance any, say, neurotransmitters. They do not help with balance of dopamine. They harm the brain. They harm the human physical health where they can't even digest food enough properly to maintain proper health. So obviously they're not good to maintain proper mental brain health. They are given most illegally to humans, young and old, that can't even handle it. High doses and a huge market or millions of dollars made. There's those psychiatrists, then there's the pharmacists that go along with the psychiatrists signing the prescriptions. Patients go there to the specific pharmacies for clozapine, for this main one, Clozaril, and have to go there. And then the pharmacists, a lot of them go along with it. And unfortunately, these people have been taking these, and all these humans that took clozapine ended up, either if they finally got out of there, mental wards after years, have brain damage, more than when they started. Didn't help them. Most were all misdiagnosed with schizophrenia as well, as a general term, and or psychosis. These are not specific mental health concern names. It's not a specific disorder. It is basically a word. And they put on those forms with schizophrenia, and please keep in mind, like myself, was put in wrong mental health wards because the doctors put me on schizophrenia there, and then this wrong medically negligent staff in other hospitals went along with this. I didn't have schizophrenia. I fought against this put on my file, and it's stated there. Then I was, instead of put in the medical ward when I needed to be to save my life, that was put in the mental health ward. So please, doctors, psychiatrists, get rid of this schizophrenia word. Do the right thing. Do your job after it's been over 50 more years that this term has been around. It is used, unfortunately, online, even not defined properly, needs taken down entirely. Whoever has the websites, main ones, with these definitions, get rid of it. State is a general term. Caution patients, doctors, psychiatrists. You have the resources. It takes a few seconds. You're morally obligated under God to promote proper information in this matter. Stop the misinformation. Stop the potential harm of millions of patients illegally. The schizophrenia, as I stated, general term, is not a specific brain disorder. There's not a specific brain problem or physical health side of the symptoms, rather. Psychosis as well. General term, anything stated under those is a separate matter. Those are specific certain mental health concerns or symptoms, each one. Then those ones a doctor could state if it's a specific medical condition, a specific brain disorder, then that's the specific name for it. It's not psychosis. It is not schizophrenia. State the specific name. Tell the patient the truth. This is your health mental concern. If the patient states these symptoms, to their best of reasoning ability to help treat their health. To exercise, recommend counseling first. Don't try to push any dangerous antipsychotics. This is illegal human torture, especially when done they don't choose. Is morally wrong, ethically wrong. No research can be done on these patients that don't give consent, don't choose. Don't put any patients on forms illegally, so you have clients to see once every few weeks and leave. Write a prescription for dangerous illegal human torture that damage the human brain physical health once every 2 weeks. It's sensed in every human to the morally right judge right away on earth by God. Respect Jesus, religious or not. To respect the human, to morally treat every human with dignity of God. All doctors, religious or not, swear an oath to God that they have a high paycheck that they can when hired only to help human health. To respect dignity of the patients, their value as a human being life, to maintain proper advice to help their well-being. And if they're not going to do, they cannot do their job. Along with many other jobs, religious or not, and the ones that employ them under other staff, the board members of hospitals, trustees, most medical doctors too. Most are medically negligent in Toronto. And the higher board members not doing anything. The governing colleges didn't take away their licenses for years to practice and could have hired a lot of caring staff that would have actually helped these kind-hearted humans that were wrong and saved their health and lives, such as mine as well, for 20 years. Could have assessed properly my medical health and let me go. Not put me there, and a woman don't want to be there, especially children. These are people who have other side effects no human wants to see, with the brain damage, yelling because of it, in pain. No human wants to see live through this. I did, and my lady. So I'm cautioning everyone. Please do the right thing. I put another video of my story, what actually happened. Serious medical negligence. And please do the right thing. Spread right this information is a few sentences, even the main one. Please help is takes more than one human me can do to let everyone know that to not trust the FDA. What they say is approved. Having to do is the Federal Drug Administration. And then there's the other ones. These ones promote that the clozapine and clozaril are approved drugs for usage. These are the olanzapine, the risperidone, paliperidone, ABILIFY. These ones are to be not sold. These are serious causing brain damage type of psychiatric drugs. These always cause harm. They don't help any part of a human brain. They don't help any think part brain. In fact, impaired more. They harm human memory. They harm the human physical health. The humans, most of them need to go for frequent blood testing. Have venipuncture painful in the hand, open wound in the vein, have to live with this, and then endanger life this way, go for blood pressure checks, have to go travel for urine tests, for potential side effects, for blood work, his blood taken out, human becomes weak. While on these, most of them make sure to everyone stop these in the world. The clozapine, or Clozaril, has many names. This has been $1 million of this sold, and needlessly humans suffer, didn't help anyone. And as I stated, over time it harms the human brain more. And physical health, fat, and the human suffers basically heart attack, has high blood pressure, high sugar, might get diabetes. Severe brain damage more over time, is not cured in any way. Over sedated, sleeping, can't get a job, can't get married, can't have children, can't drive a vehicle, licenses taken away, driver's license of young people. A human lose their life, they can't work. They basically then live on the street, can't afford anything, disability money is nothing. There's many years waiting lists for disability people that are disabled, obviously can't work and can't have school, could easily have housing, 10-year waiting lists, and I can't even barely find one, and live on the street freezing to death begging for food while brain damage because of medically negligent staff. And doctors that have stated vehicles with their money need to be fired if someone can help me. I obviously can't afford medical negligence lawyer, and I'm poor and homeless because of them. And it didn't have to be this way. If the governing colleges and then the medical councils in Canada, if the Prime Minister, is it Justin Trudeau, the other Prime Ministers years ago, the President of the United States, if he and his other monitored the other medical and mental health facilities for years to stop the pharmaceutical companies, they're morally obligated under God, bioethics boards, they have all the financial and resources trained to treat every human with respect, their dignity of God in them, their health to respect, so they have money for disability funding, for houses. They all neglected to look and monitor this for years. They still are. They cannot make their paycheck. They're morally wrongdoing under God, and they know. So they have to be replaced, fired, with people that do care. Then under them will hire people that care, and then restore order and care for all humanity. 100 million people lives. Health will be saved if the proper governing bodies, board members, facility board members are put to have the actual caring humans that are the job description is made to care and respect human life and health. This has to be fixed immediately. This is medical negligence, and these have been making $1 million all board, all the way up to the Prime Minister in Canada, all the way to the President of the United States for years. Long over me, 2 decades, seen intelligent human suffer, didn't have to be in homeless because they made paycheck, not doing what they have even resources to do. To fund shelter, homes for, it's even medical negligence, their fault. They're the accomplices to human torture. Long bodily harm of a human being had ECT prescribed that should be taken off market, not given to anyone. I was given illegally. It's human torture, is fined by imprisonment, take away the paychecks, had to be done for years. They hired governing councils that didn't do their job to hire proper medical staff that cared, that respect my life, psychiatrists, 50 of them for 20 years, still working there. There's the other ones, the board members, ECT board members, electroconvulsive therapy, please everyone, change the name first, get rid of it entirely. The actual procedure is illegal brain, physicality torture. A human has to fast before the brain procedure and then has not enough nutrients, too tired to get there. and then have to have dangerous venipuncture, put a general anesthesia to be knocked out cold, 2 electrical wires taped electrodes to the side of the head, and electrical current passed to the brain, while a human is knocked out cold and have an oxygen mask put on or might not be put on by proper staff. A human fear for their life, gonna die or not. And I just have not enough nutrients rest to go through the procedure, but I was forced and others there, even children, as I stated, old people, clearly didn't have to be there, illegally put on forms and put there so they have clients. And 10 staff were present, nurses, physiologists smiling, psychiatrists look away because knew did morally wrong, and put a prescription for human torture. This is electroconvulsive torture, not therapy. Therapy is the term for to be therapeutic to promote proper health. Electroconvulsive therapy, this name has been for over approximately 100 years. There's many clinics still. There's approximately 10 staff working each of all different fields, even neurosurgeons, humans studied many years, registered nurses, staff, physiologists. Then the psychiatrists wrongly prescribe and put patients there. I fought for my own life, intelligent, but I didn't have money for medical negligence lawyers, and most patients don't when they're brain damaged and poor because of it. And I wake up in a different room. Please fix this, not to wake up patients in different room after the brain electrocuted and have a seizure caused. Cannot remember anything, are in danger lives when there are already not enough nutrients, fasting for hours. Knocked out cold and wake up after the brain electrocuted body. And I wake up in a different room. And then cannot remember almost anything for hours, some years at a time. Is severe memory, brain, and physical harm. Illegal and cannot be given. ECT already. Electroconvulsive therapy known to all physicians, psychiatrists for years, but done still to many people illegally. And these doctors still working there, doing it. The college filed to take a year, and they still don't put them in prison. CAMH, there's a new Temerity, has a ECT clinic, CAMH, avoided at all costs. There's other ones in Ontario and Canada alone, and Australia many. Online, please, whoever has these, I can tell the truth. I lived through the side effects. I was knocked out cold and put through ECT illegally, and I'm intelligent, studied different life sciences, know the medical terminology, know my rights were disrespected. And I was put to sleep, and I went put that over 10 times a year. And I couldn't get out of it because I didn't have a medical negligence lawyer. So I'm telling the truth, avoid at all costs. It doesn't help to the best of my reasoning abilities. Any depression, it harms the brain more. Angelika looked this the best I could, research I'm into, and other current research going on. The side effects I know because I lived through it. A woman didn't need to have. I have no children because of this. Brain severe memory damage, physical health damage. This I'm trying to prevent in the world to fix this immediately. So again, please, anyone who is certified or has access to the resources to contact these first, even put Prime Minister of Canada, the American president, the other presidents, is the ones in England, France, China, Australia. To contact the Pope is morally obligated and go under God to look into this, has resources to Congress to care for human dignity, is God's representative on earth. To care for all humans, to make sure that they have the proper, the world leaders to deal with, that they have the ones rightly hired because they are in charge of whole countries. Have all the resources, financial, to fund housing for the disabled, that obviously are brain damaged and can't work. In most of the countries, half in Canada, the States, is too cold for a human to live, obviously in the housing. Cannot have a job, so easily funding can be maneuvered into funding for housing, especially disabled, and the medically negligent staff they put their hired under them. They didn't monitor this, and human lives were harmed. Obviously, can work and have to be respected so they don't live on the street freezing to death when a brain damage and need some advice or put in a caring facility outside of a mental ward where they have a right to be respected as humans to live where they choose, with who they choose. Kind staff that actually care, nursing staff, some volunteers to donate proper clothing gifts to these people. Ayman was there. This brings joy to people who have barely the shirts as a stated clothing on their backs. Some people even accept any gently used clothing gladly because they can't afford anything. Wear the same clothing for years. There's no one knows about it, so I'm telling everyone to donate something to take away the paychecks of the doctors that made $1 million a year. Was to be prison, and take that money and donate the $1 million and put the nutritious food to all those patients rather that were harmed wrongly and didn't deserve. Suffered for 20 years, some lost 10 years, children, people brain damage already, and didn't have to be there, not helped by God. Caring, morally respecting staff, doctors, psychiatrists especially. I don't know how they got into the country. I respect all different nationalities, but and considering what their job title is, they don't speak proper English even. These most psychiatrists that are working there still, that I don't even have I read the journals, are not proper English stated, or have a misinformation based on illegal human trials, but not stated in their journals. What they did is unethical, is immoral, illegal, is easily fined by imprisonment, need to have their licenses taken away for years, still are not. Funding needs to be put in to the, such as ODSP, can easily be done. They have all the resources in Canada. Prime Minister puts funding, for example, in news recently, millions of dollars to fund police, but they sit in the expensive cruisers driving around, essentially doing nothing. And I've seen paying for gas. They could have had a smaller vehicle or anything. These had big cruisers. This money could be used to give to they had medically negligent staff. They didn't monitor, but was their job, and harmed a human life such as mine, to find way for funding or a lawyer to help to sue, to put in prison, and money for me to live, for housing. They never accomplished this. I can't live off of what the ODSP disability in Ontario is, $200 to $1,000 a month. As I stated, it's not enough for one night in a small hotel room. $250, the cheapest one, just for basic washroom and bed and maybe a small microwave to stay out of the cold, is not enough for food, shelter, clothing for a whole month, not even for a few days. And a human has to live off of this for a whole month, 30 days a night, with not enough food or shelter, and freezing in Canada most of the year. And when a human brain damage, could have still used my university degree, work hard and paid off, and saved all the years for a home, money, but couldn't because of medically negligent staff hired. And the governing bodies, starting at president, the prime minister in Canada, depending which country, then under them the medical councils, then there's the board members of the medical facilities, then there's the other colleges that hire the doctors and nurses, physiologists, pharmacists. They're all working there. Many lives saved, treated inhumanely, don't deserve to respect, can't even get out of it. And something has to be done immediately. So please, whoever hears this, help get CLOZAPINE, OLANZAPINE, RISPIDERONE, PALIPERIDONE, ABILIFY, or ARIPIPRAZOL, and electroconvulsive therapy off the market. Immediately. This had to be done for years. This is a huge market. There's millions employed wrongly, harming patients. As I stated with these, they do not help any brain health. They do not help any physical health. They harm the health more, cause severe memory, cognitive thinking, brain, physical health damage. It impairs prevents cannot drive, humans have their college university degrees lost. The human cannot have children because of the side effects, cannot work. Obviously, then save money in Canada States is too cold to live and have no money to save for a house, and they can't then live on the street begging for food. Well, brain damage, some nerve damage. There's worse side effects, muscle spasms, and humans wrong like this with medically negligent staff, and they need this taken off the market and promoted proper nutrition staff instead. Caring doctors, psychiatrists, counselors for cognitive behavioral therapy mostly needed, even for depression, not for humans to be tortured illegally, put through research with pill pushers. Part of this market, clozapine essentially this is a multi-million-dollar market for the most illegal drugs, psychiatric ones that should be taken off the market, and there's many years of research to prove this. And I'm one of the victims for almost 20 years of it. Didn't need a woman overdose with this. So I know I speak the truth. I have millions of pages of patient records proving it. How it harmed my health and life. And I was given illegally. So please, the result of this, and stop. I don't want to see have other people seeing what this is and still living through it illegally in Toronto, Canada, CAMH. Not monitored their health, not giving supplements, given this illegally and losing their lives and suffering there needlessly. In mental wards too, pharmacists going along making the $1 million, psychiatrists need to put in prison, hire caring ones, get rid of the clozapine and the pharmacy that goes with it entirely. CAMH especially, Mount Sinai Hospital. In Australia, they're big ones, ECT clinics everywhere, Toronto, CAMH. The new Temerity one in CAMH needs to be closed immediately. All illegal workers working there, medically negligent staff is true. I have my own records prove it. I'm a victim of it. Illegal human torture. They're smiling, but they know they morally did wrong. Couldn't make the paycheck, still can't. To harm human health. Avoid it at all costs. Please spread this information, online sites. Contact their office, tell them to close. Anyone who deals with these higher level boards or have information how to close these clinics, please do so. Find the bioethics board. I don't have the contact information for this. I need help from higher level doctors, psychiatrists, board members to contact even head government offices to help with this. In Australia, main ones, unfortunately, lots of ECT clinics. Hiring after, as I said, 10 employees show up each time. Different staff, each make $1 million a year. People most illegally put there misinformed for years. Online videos have to be checked for misinformation. A lot still mentioning about ECT is a procedure, but they're leaving out the dangerous side effects. There are many websites still leaving out, even clozapine, the definitions of it. There's leaving out the main companies leaving out the serious side effects of these dangerous antipsychotics. These are not helpful to help in anyone's health, rather. So please get rid of these from the market. Do anything you can. Millions of lives were lost. 20 years even suffered. Young people lost 20 years wrong and then live on the street because of clozapine, olanzapine, risperidone, paliperidone, and the other ones. These are the ones I was wrongly given. And I know the side effects, and I studied what the parts brain they actually affect and did nothing to help any brain health, physical health. They harm the human whole physicality, the brain, mind, the human memory, thinking abilities. And as I stated already, and also to please someone help get caring individuals to work at the FDA. Someone please take the time that has actual contact information or high-level job to deal with these. The Federal Drug Administration and the other offices and like that in the other countries. Please do something after all these many years that these are wrongly going along with this illegally under God they cannot do. They are morally obligated under God to care for human health at first, to approve only proper drugs, proper medication, proper antipsychotics to help human health, proper brain, mental health, physical health, treatments. They are still approving ECT. They didn't even change the name. It's not therapy. It's not beneficial to health. It's not therapeutic. Is electroconvulsive therapy not? It needs to be get rid of from the world. It harms illegally human physically, essential electrocutes causing seizures. With not enough nutrients and knocked out under general anesthesia, which a human has to recover from hungry after and brain memory damage with enough nutrients to go through the procedure while it is done to them. So it obviously doesn't help promote proper brain health if they don't even have nutrients enough fasting for hours, not enough glucose to go to the brain, not enough nutrients digested into the bloodstream to the brain and then electrocuted. It definitely doesn't promote the proper neurotransmitter balance with electrical currents passed to a brain with not enough nutrients in a human being. This is illegal human torture. A human was given illegally and even had them put on the mask, oxygen mask, wrong, and almost suffocated me. And I could have waited up with severe, more impaired brain and more damage. And I was not safe, and I could have been really crippled for life. So please, all psychiatrists, doctors, do your job. Morally under God, you it is recorded in every soul. Thought of human is true. To respect God, to morally right, respect your health. You don't want brain electrocuted. You don't want to have any dangerous antipsychotics given to you. You choose to have a healthy life. You want a doctor, medical or doctor, psychiatrist to assess your health properly. You don't want to be harmed. You don't want to be illegally put in a mental ward where you can't get out. You don't want to be put there with not enough food or water. You don't want to go there poor and end up losing your job because of a medically negligent staff harming your brain with dangerous antipsychotics that don't help, knocking you out cold and you're too tired, oversedated, can't do anything, with no food, nothing to do there, no nutritious food given to you, with lose your driver's license wrongly taken away. You lose your studied education because of the brain damage side effects, physical health damages. Put in words with other people, damaged brain yelling things is an emotional strain put on you you don't want. But the medically negligent staff did to other patients while you made $1 million for your luxury warm vehicles while these patients lost a lot of studied poor like myself, $7 work factory and paid off university 4 years, thousands of dollars just so I can even have jobs so I live a house to live in Canada when it's cold, and I couldn't do, and I'm homeless. The doctors don't want to be homeless, have $1 million homeless vehicles while I'm suffering, and this has to be told to the doctors, psychiatrists to consider this. Their job affects other patients to help their health. If they're not going to do it, then they have to resign, to turn themselves in immediately, especially CAMH doctors, psychiatrists, wrongly working in emergency room, and like other CAMH mental health wards. The other units, there's a forensic science unit, there's the ECT, Temerty Clinic, there's the other mental health wards, women's mental health wards. These are all have illegally working head psychiatrists, actual clinical scientists, research in more than one job affiliated with U of T, as I stated, Department of Psychiatry. Over 20 years that I know, others still work before that. Wrong journals need to be corrected, taken off, removed from the website, PubMed, of all these medically negligent staff to be assessed. A lot of them they have misinformation. They are unfortunately teaching young students in medical field, in psychiatry at U of T and other universities for over 20 years. And I don't want them to misinform the students, because they might use that knowledge studying to be a doctor, psychiatrist, and wrongly assess a patient by accident. These psychiatrists don't set a morally good example. They don't respect human rights, human freedom of choice. Me as a woman, half of them are rude. They made their money. They illegally misinformed me and patients, kept illegal in wards. These are to be fired, put in prison, their paychecks taken away. To find anyone who can, funding for especially this situation, mine, for these years lost, to find medical negligence lawyers to fund this. Find a way to the College of Physicians Ontario to screen, do their job, morally obligated under God too, to hire the proper psychiatrists. If they did monitor these doctors, and I wouldn't have been harmed. They're legally working there. Then the ones hiring them are not doing their job monitoring it. The Medical Council of Canada is not doing anything. Eye contact as well. They cannot be working there. They don't respect the human rights, dignity of me. Did nothing to help me. Then above them, there's the Prime Minister of Canada. There's Justin Trudeau. The other ones before that, they didn't do anything. Their job to follow up on this, to make sure humans treating their employees with respect, hire the proper medical staff, proper boards. They're doing absolutely nothing about it. Funding, as I stated, some police building $1 million, but it could help disabled people. Never did for years. People start different ODSP coalitions, but need other humans to help them funding. This is what the Prime Minister has all $1 million resources to do, then job morally obligated to do. If he's not, then has to resign. He has to find someone who is trained, knows what his job is, to respect all the humanity. There's 100 million people working under him and in different jobs. In Canada, especially COVID times as well, not doing his job. The President of the United States also in the same situation, not doing his job, has all the moral and the right resources, contact information. There's all the education done. It knows what his job is, to morally represent under God a morally good example, to respect human dignity, to have proper housing so no one's disabled, to have proper medical care facilities, caring medical staff, psychiatrists, proper funded research facilities, bioethics boards that do their job, morally, ethically right, are not doing. There's research facilities there that are doing illegal studies on even COVID. These are strains that cannot be released into the world, and they're gonna endanger lives potentially a lot, and not doing their jobs to monitor this, to close these. They have to resign immediately. These world leaders, they have under them, they are not doing their job, and under them, their employees not doing their job under God, that they know their job title, are educated in these matters and know what I mean. Religions are not have to do, because they affect the lives of 1 million people in the country. Each country in Canada and the States are not being cared for by the head, the Prime Minister, the President, as they're supposed to do. All the other world leaders as well. These are the main ones in England, France, Australia, China, Poland, Germany, Africa. These are the other main ones, China, Japan. The Pope is representing on earth. He's not doing his job. Don't promote the masks to put on. And the recent one for to prevent spread of COVID and other people to maintain proper masks and resources for shelter and people for all respect human dignity either. And he has huge influence in his job resources to make sure that every proper healthcare and proper world leaders are morally doing right in their jobs to do, to run their countries, to care for all the rest of humanity that they employ under them, and all the other people, the poor, to make sure they have shelter so they're not poor. Respect human dignity, to be respected, to have proper care, warm shelter, buildings, enough food and water, essential basic necessities of life, clothing, a proper safe country, place to live in. And they're not doing, and so they have to resign immediately. This has been going on for too many years. Order has to be maintained, restored. Restored first. All those morally doing wrong in countries, ECT clinics, resign. You're not morally doing right. Close the clinics, open a nutrition place, put a nutritionist there that work for free to help humans recover health, open some housing, take away the $1 million illegally harming people, the 10 person each working in an ECT clinic, Australia, Canada, States for years, take away each 10 paycheck, you have $10 million there for a year to put housing for the legally harmed people such as myself to live. Do the morally right thing immediately. Stop making your paychecks. You don't get away with it under God. Severe punishment. You are causing bodily harm that you wouldn't want harmed yourself. You wouldn't want your life, as I stated, disrespect, this thing of it, to have your brain damaged, fear for life, being put to sleep, don't know if you're gonna wake up, brain damaged for life or not, memory damaged, to go to wards you don't want to be in. You can't go outside, especially COVID, because to prevent strain of nothing to do, not enough nutrition, not enough food, starving. You put humans through this, then you cannot be doctor, you cannot be psychiatrist. You know other members? Tell them to resign, to earn their license in doctors, psychiatrists, licensed board members. Find someone who cares. You have to do the morally right thing. You cannot harm any more lives. Find help with funding, do the morally right thing, earn some right credits under God. Respect Jesus, to morally do right, and use this paycheck, turn in, and make sure it goes to housing for those humans you wrong illegally, patients. Canada obviously afford medical negligence lawyers and court fees, but right to do to sue so they have money to live, but you made them lose, like myself. $40,000 university, a poor student, paid and then lost it all. Driver's license paid, couldn't drive, save for car, house. 20 years harm. Well, you made millions of dollars, 20 million for years. Turn yourself in paycheck. You cannot make those years. Have to give it back. Give it to those you harmed, so they actually have a life to live. As we're supposed to be respected by you. And anyone else hearing this, unsafe to do, please help find way for medically negligent staff that obviously patients disabled because of them, the victims, cannot sue and put in prison. Even after put in colleges, take a long time investigating, which should be done right away. To find a way to help put them in prison at least. Take away their license, hire caring staff to restore, put more funding where these mental health all wards are. Food immediately, healthy, nutritious food, snacks, the meal supplements, to find a nice clothing donations to these people. These are kind-hearted humans lost, suffered because the medically negligent staff. They can't have a home, so they need funding for a nice warm house in Canada and the money to actually live what they could make, but they can't because they're brain damage victim because of negligent staff they hire there. So they have to put the funding, and so they have a home to live is out of the cold with enough food, so they don't strain it when they can't work. They're obviously brain damaged. They have nerve damage, some muscle spasms, side effects, twitches for life. Memory damage, can't think for life because they put on overdose with clozapine, olanzapine, risperidone, PALIPERIDONE. wrote prescriptions and left, saying, "How's your mood, physicians?" And I left and I'll even follow up in 2 weeks, maybe some months' time. Don't even inform patients that they can say I need to lower this sooner. I choose to wean myself off of this. I don't need this, obviously, this high dose. They don't even inform patients of this. They need supplements. I helped one person, her there after 10 years. They didn't even inform me need supplements. I told them which ones, omega-3, being calm. These helped them a lot. When I did send to lower medication, he didn't even know. Some don't know English patients, and these need help there. And CAMH emergency, CAMH wards, all of them. Mount Sinai Hospital hired a nice caring staff, but it has to be replaced, every one of them. Facility owners, managers, trustees. There's 100 over medical negligence staff. 20 years they made millions of dollars. And I work at U of T, even that I don't want to hear. The teaching students, after the illegal human trials, illegal human bodily harm, I didn't choose, harmed, and other people. Please get rid of schizophrenia term, please. Prevent a human million people wrongly admitted to mental wards because of a general term. It is not even a real specific mental health disorder. It doesn't have any real specific brain part or specific symptoms that affect the brain or the human physicality at all. Keep this in mind, doctors. Take the few seconds, remove the misinformation videos. Don't put your name to any misinformation. Don't endanger the lives of patients, potential patients. They do have family lives. They don't want to be brain damaged. The CLOZAPINE, keep in mind, RISPIDERONE, as I stated, OLANZAPINE, the PALIPERIDONE, the ECT especially. It doesn't help anyone with schizophrenia. It's a general term. It damages the brain more if they really don't have, like myself, any mental disorder, no brain disorder to treat. And the psychosis as well is a general term. It doesn't have specific brain part affected symptoms. It's not a specific brain disorder with any specific symptoms associated with it all. This needs to be removed from all journals, psychiatry, medical journals, as I stated, online websites in the world. Everyone has to act in the departments of psychiatry. There's U of T, there's the Harvard. These are the main ones, University Ottawa. There's other countries. Millions University head office have contact numbers. Then they have the other medical facilities, departments of psychiatry and medical hospitals. These ones I do not have contact information for. I contact few, but I can only do as human so much. I'm not a psychiatrist or doctor with all the contact information. So I need people, every human, what I lived last 20 years, intelligent human, to prevent this suffering and health, brain, mental, physical health damage of potentially 100 million people in the coming years. A lot of lives still suffering, don't have to be. Everything I mentioned in this video, please, who has the heart and has the credible jobs, medical field, psychiatric, do what you can. Act now. Write what I wrote down. Find someone who can. This can't go to waste. I can't sue them because I have no money, which is beyond wrong. Medical negligence lawyers are not funded by financial aid in Canada. But this is not my fault that the Canadian government and them let these staff into the country, medically negligent psychiatrists that illegally did research, push pills on a human for 20 years and couldn't get out of it because I don't have a medical lawyer. And lost my life, well, they made $20 million over 20 years. Went on vacation and harmed my life, and I have no home children, as I stated. But this is the only one. All the other criminal lawyers, civil lawyers, everything is funded by financial aid if someone poor can afford a lawyer, except medical negligence. And no one can afford this, as obviously a disabled human victim with a brain damage couldn't work for years, with not enough funding for disability, long waiting list over 10 years put for the housing, where German already need to be living in a house and I couldn't get one with no money to live because brain damage beyond my control, and then live on the street, freezing to death in Canada with no food. And there's no medical negligence lawyer funding if someone is poor, and it would have to be obviously to human to win some money to live, get money from these doctors did wrong, couldn't make their paycheck did, to give their money to me, so I have money that I could have paid for my university and lost and home to live even. Sue for punitive damage would win easily multi-million-dollar lawsuit. I had 50 medically negligent head staff. The other 50 were nursing staff, and it could easily win, but I have no money for $30,000 for court and medical negligence lawyers, and no funding to help a victim when the government didn't take care, and the hospitals, facilities, mental wards, CAMH, Mount Sinai took care enough to look into these doctors to hire caring ones, to assess me that I had a medical concern, not mental one, and treat my health properly, respect my human dignity, me as a woman, that I told her I choose to have children, be healthy one day. They disrespect this, wrongly misdiagnosed me with a general term, and forced illegally to take dangerous antipsychotics didn't need for years, high doses, and electroconvulsive therapy. When I stated one question, they said, "How's your mood?" Wrote the paycheck, said, "Come back in 2 weeks for next prescription," for human torture. And they morally, I don't know how they live with their lives. And they made them with the money, talk with their wives and children. And they were happy on vacation for 20 years, while I have no money and suffered. And I see this true, and there's videos online with these smiling doctors, psychiatrists, many still putting there, it's beyond what I can do as one human, comment on some to correct some misinformation, but it takes the action of other humans to help. Few a day comments can help remove videos. Doctors is more easier, psychiatrists to mention to other doctors, say you're not doing your job, take your video down. You're misinforming patients. Please act. Get rid of schizophrenia term. All the doctors be aware. Please spread this to all. Put some statement, a little post. Tag 100 million people. You have the resources. All emails of different departments, such as universities, psychiatric departments, can inform other professors of all the resources already, staff directories. One mass email with one email that you can do simply, I can't, to inform them about this. We'll spread this information, truth, and this will help hundreds humans' lives, health, mental, physical, be saved from suffering, becoming disabled, poor, with no money, homeless. Half the world is too cold to live in, half too warm. Humans can't afford homes, suffering, poor, and then suffering on the street while brain damage because of medically negligent staff. The dangerous antipsychotics, the ones I stated, and ECT, please get off the market. It's been unearthed, and that is enough proof that these harm human health, that to be get rid of from the earth already. Entire world in every country is still all clinics, unfortunately, don't want to see this. They see each true, any credible doctor knows this had to be gone. They're still misinforming people online. The clinics they're working, they're smiling, but I see and you can see easily they look away, they're morally doing wrong. Never look a patient in the eye that say that they need the ECT. No human needs to go through. I am a living proof. She educated as I studied in life science, medical matters. Both the other side as well. I'm a humanitarian side. Respect human life. Dignity, royally right under God. My own clean mind, religious beliefs. That's I choose to help every human alive with this. So what I suffer, no one else suffers. Get rid of schizophrenia term. Get rid of psychosis. Get rid of the term mania. Get rid of ECT immediately. Electroconvulsive therapy. Change the name, it's not therapy. Get rid of the clozaril or clozapine, risperidone, paliperidone, and ABILIFY especially. This doesn't help anyone. Is a severely causing brain damage no human lived through. And the other ones, these are the ones I was affected wrongly by, and I know as a woman cannot be given. And to be taken off the market, I respect my life lost as illegal human torture. 20 years of these different ones. Is it to respect my life, and what result from this be closed all ECT clinics, all staff fired immediately, given their paychecks to help those victims, especially fund nutritious meals for those in the mental wards to actually care, because they're the ones that are brain damaged and need caring staff to help them, which they didn't have. Canada, especially Toronto, in the States, million places, in Australia mainly. ECT clinics even wake up brain damaged, starving, and the memory impaired can't even go when they barely walk, can't remember anything. Didn't have to be this way. Millions of people, almost 100 years. This still exists, FDA approved, needs the FDA way to do their morally right job, and who's working there fired. All of them. Immediately for years. All the medical staff, even credible, no, but no one did anything, are morally obligated to stop these people working at the FDA, other head offices, government offices, wrongly going along with these pharmaceutical companies. This is under God's word. Under God, I speak truth. I lived through it. I lost 2 decades harm wrongly because they didn't morally do their job. They don't get away with under God. They severely punished, morally did wrong to sin against another human life, mine, in the wrongest, worst ways. And under Jesus is all, and religious or not, everyone human is judged this way, has to respect Jesus, not to sin, especially do morally wrong, they know not to, against another human life or others, employees under them, board members, hospital employees, board members, doctors that they know will be medically negligent. The staff below them. No one monitored this in any country for years. The world is not in order. The people became disabled, living on street, while they made $1 million. This is the truth I speak. Everything Angelika mentioned is a kind-hearted human being. Angelika, JAKIELA, choose something really proper to result from this. Please spread this video. I put other videos with even their names, the more detail about my story, what happened, a victim of medical negligence, other ways to help in the world. Please contact these pharmaceutical companies, close down all pharmacies, that when proper timing, first get rid of clozapine entirely, huge market, illegal, doesn't help anyone, millions of lives lost, suffering, and poor on street, brain damage, overweight, diabetic, lose 10 years of life expectancy, and over sedated, accomplish nothing, can't work, needlessly, most illegally given. Pharmacies go along, there's a certain one, then close those. Open some caring facilities with proper nutrition staff or with volunteers or staff, because most nutritionists, those naturopaths rather, are charged their own money. Find ones like this to help recovering humans that are weaning themselves off of clozapine, to help them with supplements, natural supplements, food to recommend, or medical doctors that can do this. This has to be done out of respect human life. The health, the doctors that were hired, psychiatrists, didn't accomplish this while the humans were on the clozapine for years. This is illegal human torture. They harm a human life, brain, physicality with not enough nutritious food or supplements recommended. This has been long days and nights I lived through is over 2 decades. Some people 10 years is a very, very long time. A human to be ill like this with not even have enough food, nutritious supplement, the B vitamins make such a difference in a human with the proper nutrients in a human to go outside rather than to be pushed to have clozapine. So please, all pharmaceutical companies, anyone with contact information, please do the right thing. Morally under God or judge, they cannot promote clozapine anymore. They know for years. There's all research been done, most illegal. Human torture, bodily harm, brain, life disrespect, waste. Humans, men, women cannot have children while on side effects, lose their lives, education, driver's license taken away right away. They cannot drive, have thinking impairment, memory damage, or sedate most of them, harm for life. While these pharmaceuticals make $1 million mostly to go on vacation while they're harming their lives. They have done for up to already more than 100 years. There's still many ones all working there. They cannot under God their job description, religious or not, judged by God, and they swear oath they have to help human health to make decisions for all the people and 1 million affected by this. Under them, patients, other people have families, kids lost, family members can't function right because of their illegal these illegally prescribed clozapine. Clozaril, another name for it. The other ones, paliperidone, risperidone, aripiprazole, that is illegal. That is human torture of the brain when given against free choice. Even when choose, keep in mind all patients too, and doctors, psychiatrists, to not to recommend to patients any ABILIFY, aripiprazole. There's no use for it. There's no benefit to human mental, brain, or physical health at all. Is beyond wrong. No human want to live through the side effects of brain damage, can't think, cannot function. ECT, get rid of it from the world. FDA, make sure it's not approved. All these clozapine, olanzapine, risperidone, paliperidone. Make sure all of these and the other ones that you know of that do not help human health, make sure they're not approved by the FDA anymore. Do morally right under God after over 100 years. You wrongly left mine, harmed my life because you approved illegal, dangerous antipsychotics. I lost 20 years of life. I couldn't have children. I lost my university degree. I even chose to do research, could have saved lives, but I couldn't. 100 million and made vaccines cures a researcher, medical researcher in the world. I lost 2 decades of life because you approved illegal clozapine, ABILIFY, paliperidone, risperidone, and ACT. And I was wrongly harmed for 20 years. Innocent woman, now homeless, no even disability funding enough, no housing, homeless, cannot is not human now almost is approximately 40 years old, lost from 20 years old since a child barely to 40 years old. Lost suffering is a horrendously long 2 decades with side effects of these dangerous antipsychotics that shouldn't have been on the market. I did not need it all. Illegally given pushed, illegal research done. The medically negligent staff went along with it. Huge markets, the pharmacists went along with it, specifically pertaining to clozapine and those ones. These then dangerous antipsychotics damaged my brain, thinking ability, physicality. Couldn't do a job, couldn't figure skate. I was a figure skater, lost all. 2 week blood overdrawn. There's a huge market you have. You illegally harm my life. Is you morally disrespected my life? And over 20 years and other patients, true, in Toronto alone, still there, some of them. When you made the $1 million pushing the sales of clozapine, approving it. And the other departments, you had staff working under you that you were morally obligated under God to make sure they do the right job and not to promote these dangerous antipsychotics, benzodiazepines, any these ECT, electroconvulsive therapy. We didn't change the name. It's not therapy. It's obviously not therapeutic. And it's all misinformation online, on websites. You don't look into this. Pharmaceutical companies not. There's medical websites. All the definitions, clozapine, leave out the major harmful side effects. This is in a legal certain wordings to make it look like it's somewhat okay to take. These are very harmful to brain health, and this information, that's why I speak the truth from experience, and side effects I didn't need. These are human torture. This is fined by human life imprisonment. For harming another human life, mind disrespecting the God of human to be respected as a human being that has a life, and others affected my family. No one wanted to see me suffer. I couldn't have children because the FDA approved what they know is morally wrong. I've been doing it for years, medical, other staff know, but did nothing. So do the right thing. Anyone who knows who works at FDA, the Federal Drug Administration, the other head departments like that in other countries, immediately contact them as much as you can. Tell them to get rid of all the dangerous antipsychotics, benzodiazepines, the other ones that you know of on the market that I wasn't affected by but could look into. There's obviously many dangerous antipsychotics. They don't do anything to help health at all. They damage the human brain, mind, memory, physical health. Once the human brain is damaged, it's not easily healed. Some never healed. Nervous system. Then a human is. Keep in mind, doctors, psychiatrists, you don't want to be harmed this way. So keep in mind, you can't make your paycheck if you're going to harm human health. Give it to someone who cares that will help human health, or you're going to be charged with illegal human torture. It is fined by imprisonment for life. So turn your license in if you're not going to do your job. Don't harm another life. Respect their lives. You have no right to harm another life. Against human freedom of choice that don't choose to be given any dangerous antipsychotics. Put in mental health wards on forms while you make a paycheck to go to your happy family on vacation. While a human's life is lost, suffering for years, with not enough food to live and no funding, promote you don't do your job even to find housing. For a human disabled, lost university degree child could have at least did my own job, research, and many other people, kind-hearted human lives, right to be respected with a home, shelter, bright futures, and lost. 2 decades suffering because you made your paycheck and illegally harmed a human life. And went along with the pharmaceutical companies pushing these. And did your research. And please take your journals down. But you speak truth is not truth in your medical journals. You know when it's illegal, take it down. Save the lives and don't misinform other kind-hearted students that want to learn proper medical information and psychiatric from journals of kind-hearted doctors that actually help human health, not you, the medically negligent ones. So don't endanger other humans' lives with your illegal research, illegal clinical trials based on human torture, which you don't state are meant that in your journals. This is beyond wrong what you did. Anyone who knows these humans, please look into their journals. Maybe not many, but each doctor, there's probably 100 of them more in each country. Psychiatry mainly. In this field, wrongly, most time even humans, these kind of humans already certain have brain damage, recovering drug addicts. They could not have been given, obviously, clozapine. This is illegal human torture, especially against freedom of choice. It doesn't help, obviously, someone with already a brain health concern of a certain part of the brain that's damaged. A human with a with a physically stomach damage lining. This cannot have anyone given clozapine for any reason. ABILIFY definitely not. Paliperidone, risperidone. These side effects are 100 to begin with, and they help nothing. They're not a cure. Keep in mind, all patients, everyone I'm stating to, Federal Drug Administration, all the pharmaceutical companies that sell these, promote these. All patients, all potential patients, people you know, you hear of this, take the time, act, do the kind-hearted thing, respect other humans' life dignity. You don't want to be harmed. Stop this immediately. The lives some people lost for are gonna affect ones harmed or cannot work for years and have no home and no funding. Keep in mind, there's almost no funding. There's a housing waiting list for 10 years for someone that needs a house right away, can't even afford a hotel room with disability to keep out of the cold for one room and washroom for a night. And have to live off that money for 30 days and nights and a month till the next the ODSP in Ontario or different disability ones in different province countries. Well, they were illegally wrong too. But of all funding in the head governments and pharmaceutical company could stop selling these, and all the money they have to morally obligated to take this money that they use selling the clozapine and do the morally right thing and invest in caring for respect the lives of those who were harmed by the medically negligent staff, and the ones harmed affected especially didn't choose by clozapine. Risperidone, paliperidone, Abilify especially. Human can work even for life with brain damage because of these. You had these on the market. You are the causers of human illegal torture, bodily harm, had no right to harm my life and million other patients in the entire world. And the result of human not having children, brain damage affected other humans' lives. Humans homeless in Canada and the States, other countries storm, have no home shelter, no food, have the only clothes on the back, no happiness in life because of it, have crippled, can't even walk, freezing to death, no food for life because you made your paychecks, you pushed illegal human torture for years, you know is wrong, is supposed to be got off the market. There's all proof that this clozapine had to remove from the market years ago entirely is not a cured anyway. And all the rest of them, Abilify for sure. Take them off the market, all of them. ECT, you have the resources to do. Whoever's heading ECT in the world, get rid of it immediately. There's enough research to show, and I'm living proof, medical records that I human have harmed life. Severe memory or physicality harm. No human live through fear for life. Don't know gonna die or not or wake up. Even worse, severe memory. Some humans with damage for life. Can't remember is true anything. Anyone I know of. Wake up with not enough nutrients, with my brain electrocuted. Obviously doesn't help a human brain. And I didn't need it, harm me more. So get it off the market immediately. Do the moral right thing. Close these clinics and each 10 different staff hired, $1 million educated staff illegally going on with this are there every day working the secretaries too, going along with these medical negligence psychiatrists, doctors, Australia mainly, Canada and the States. Other countries probably too. I am only one human. I don't have the resources, but I would take the time and call everyone. What I need is the head offices that have to do their job that weren't doing. Other patients that know start making phone calls if they know someone act now. This has to be stopped for years. There's a million people lives still suffering that I even know in Toronto, the most well-known city, is supposed to be in Canada, the land of opportunity, to respect of human dignity, human rights, patient rights, to have proper health care, caring staff, enough funding, enough nutritious food and mental medical wards, proper doctors that care. This is not the case. There's 100 working in their CAMH downtown, right in the center alone, with all the patients barely go once and begging for food outside. Well, the inside could be warm and given the proper nutrients of all the money to give. For funding, social workers to hire more, find gifts for these kind people, jobs, housing. There's one or two, but there's a million patients there suffering and have no housing to go to. no money, illegally harmed for some is a long time, 10 years, me 20 years, don't even need. Brain damage and like go on the street freezing to death with ODSP, maybe a few $100 to $1,000 and not enough to live. No house ever, no children, a brain damage for life, and cannot do anything joyous in life. And the Pope, do your job. Anyone please get this information to the Pope. He's God's represent on earth, keep in mind. Has all the resources and a credible job that has a say in all the religious or not. The main world leaders know under God, religious or not, are morally obligated to respect human dignity, rights, patient rights, and the well-being as a stated health of all humanity. They're the ones in charge. They have all the resources, financial, $1,000,000 is not a saying to accomplish this, to care for every human life, to a proper home, shelter, and peace. Enough food, but not doing for hundreds of years. And they have to fix this immediately, especially COVID times. People suffering in wards can't go outside. They have to take the time, consider it. They easily can make a phone call. There's modern day Twitter posts. They already have these under them the millions viewers. Some even some TV shows they can contact easily, put a statement. They're always doing speeches. There's a million people tuning in all the time. They already have their subscribers. They can make this few statements that I said, which to ban schizophrenia terms, psychosis, mania, tell its general terms, get off right away from all medical records, to tell all patients informed what the actual mental concern they have, if they don't have one, to tell the patients they don't need any antipsychotic ECT, tell the truth, don't harm human lives, respect other lives. You want to be respected, other humans, patients have right to be respected, their lives affect other lives. You have to stop doing morally wrong. If you're gonna do wrong, you can't make your paycheck under God, because your job affects the ones below you and other humans' lives. You have to keep that in mind. And then get rid of all clozapine illegal antipsychotics I mentioned and other ones. ECT immediately is torture. Bodily harm, brain and physicality. No human should live through. Keep in mind, you don't want to live through it. No human does. It does not help anyone. Psychiatrists stopped making misdiagnoses, told me to prevent relapse. I have no symptoms to relapse from. You have to get their English right. Catatonic, a human that is catatonic, I was told to give an ECT. A human that is catatonic cannot go through ECT. This endangers a human life, is out of common sense in itself. So psychiatrists, medically negligent ones, turn your license in to practice psychiatry and do the right thing. And go to prison if you harm someone, including the ones that harm my life. And give your paycheck and whoever is governing it to help the victims, because they obviously can't afford medical negligence lawyer to sue their money that they could have made themselves job to live. And with their right to be respect their own lives, to be happy place to live, not in mental wards against free with no food and water, disrespected human life, treated rudely by staff that were supposed to care, doctors, psychiatrists, nurses, secretaries, pharmacists, physiotherapists, head board members. This is gone for way too long in the world. Needs to be fixed. Stop. This is the most helpful, that save lives type of video there is. Angelika, I'm a humanitarian. Angelika, JAKIELA, an earth angel. A human believes to use my human virtues, promoting this own human earth movement of earth angels, of humans can use their own virtues within to selflessly care for others, to care for their health, to make sure to prevent the suffering of others, to do what they can to help others, to make sure that to care for the other humans, to ease their suffering, the health, so they're not alone, do kind acts to accomplish this. so everyone's at peace, to restore order, to maintain then a life that's respected, dignity as every human right to be treated and live when not to be poor, to everyone not to be alone, to be healthy, to have proper friends, company, to have when there is life suffering by helping them, other humans, so then their lives in their heart and soul have joy. And then they have heaven on earth as they deserve, while they have one life to live as humans. And they promote this to other humans, that human be earth angels that way. And all humans live in heaven on earth and healthy, happy at all times. Please share this video to all. Please save lives immediately. Do the right thing. Please fund help the disabled, especially when the government's left wronged humans. Use your paycheck that you made for years. You couldn't make that money. Turn yourself in. Do it. Donate something. Do something right. Help those that were wronged. Get rid of these illegal antipsychotics, benzodiazepines. They harm. They never cure. That I stated. Get rid of schizophrenia term, psychosis, mania. These are general terms. These are not specific mental health disorders, conditions. No symptoms. Patients were wrongly and are admitted because of these terms into wrong mental words, not medical ones, for years. And they suffered beyond wrong that don't deserve and needed actual medical treatment, couldn't get out of mental wards because of others going along with this, so they made a paycheck. And can't afford medical negligence lawyers, find way to fund these, to look into files so doctors don't weasel their way out. Humans can't be wrong, live on the street while they made $1 million harm their life. These doctors, psychiatrists that couldn't work there, swore to God to help health, didn't. Make sure all the funding goes to disability in Canada's cold states. Find housing, respect their lives. You don't want to freeze to death on the street, million seconds at frostbite, and can have a life and job. You want a job, you want food to eat, then other humans do too. You have to think of the other humans. That is your job. You're morally obligated under God to do, and you have to do this immediately or find someone who does and restore order and maintain it all, heaven on earth for all, as they deserve, as humans, all creation, to be respected at all times. Their human dignity within. Thank you for listening to this video. Please share it to all, tag, post. Easily, some people, a lot of connections. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, have other helpful, really information about this. I already did the work. I suffered alone. I beyond disabled. Type this up. The work's been done. Need just to send this, and this to help this restore order and health of all, and happiness and heaven on earth for all in the whole world. Contact world leaders, please. Head pharmaceutical companies, medical boards, Canada, states, Prime Minister, the president would need to hear this. I don't have the contact numbers. The Pope, he is a huge power, saying that with the world leaders, he is morally obligated as God's representative to do his job. If he can't, resign. Other world leaders, keep in mind, other human lives, as stated, are affected. Is your moral obligation. You know your job description to do this. Provide proper health, safety, housing, food for all. You didn't do for years. Do your job or find someone who does. Care. Thank you for your time listening to this video rather.